Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Tillicum PTA Principal Chat. Today is Friday, October 17th, and my name is Dusty Steer. I'm privileged to serve as the principal here. Got a few here in the audience. Welcome. I'm glad you're all here, and we also have some people online today. Good morning. Kylie is in both places. Our PTA president is amazing. She's right here, sitting here, and she's also online and will be monitoring our chat a little bit as well. We are recording this chat as we typically do so that other people who aren't able to join in person can as well. And so you may look at me today and wonder, it's like, hey, you can't see my full outfit if you're online, but those of you who are here, I'm wearing slides. I've got a pair of shorts on, my sweatshirt, I'm wearing my earbud. This is actually all part of our ASB sponsored Spirit Week. And in fact, if you take a look over here on this next slide that we have up, we've had a great Spirit Week. Today is actually Dress Like a Teacher Day for the kids. And it is for teachers, it's like try to dress like a student. So I'm trying to channel my inner seventh grader. But we took a photo this morning of one of our beloved teachers, Mr. Stoddard. He's a science teacher. And you can see that this student nailed it. Yeah, pretty darn fun. There's Mr. Stoddard, quintessential. He's got his mustache, his red jacket, his coat. But man, that student nailed it. So a lot of fun. We've had fun with Spirit Week this week, and it's been a great time. So we will be culminating it today with our Spirit Assembly. For those of you who are here, you can kind of look outside on the big poster that's hanging up against the wall and see how the students have done with their points. We've had dress-up days for points. We've had lunchtime games, and then we'll have a Spirit Assembly today where we'll play more games. And incredibly, our sixth graders have made a very strong showing. They've been getting a lot of points for the most participation in the Spirit Days, and we'll see in the assembly today who ends up being our winners. So it's been a fun week, and glad that it is Friday. As always, the purpose of these PTA principal chats is to build relationship. If you've known me at all, you know that that's kind of my thing. I love people. I love being in relationship, whether it's with your kids, whether it's with teachers, and families. So I want to increase parent knowledge and understanding of your kids' middle school experience. Because if your middle schoolers are anything like mine, they don't talk to you. How was school today? It's okay. I'm lucky if I get more than a grunt. So this is an opportunity for you to interact, to be on campus, to ask questions. And when you share with me, you also increase knowledge of what the parent and the family experience is, so I can bring that back to our school and to our staff. Today, we'll have a relatively kind of brief agenda, if you will. I want to be able to share about some of the things that we've been doing at Tillicum, specifically around harmful language, bullying prevention. October is bullying prevention, bullying awareness, and bullying prevention month. And so we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things we've done there and how families can be involved. And we'll answer some of your questions as well. So that's a little bit of our plan for today. As always, I love to just do some introductions. And so if you're here in person, would you just take a moment, introduce yourself to someone nearby, let us know, like, what's your name, who's your child, what grade are they? If you're online, if you would do the same, drop that into the chat just so that I can say good morning to you all. So take a moment there. I'm going to let a few more people into the lobby. All right. Good morning. For those of you who are online, go ahead and drop into the chat your name, your child's name, and their grade, just so that I can say good morning and welcome you all online. All right. Just added a few more people. For those who are just coming in, welcome. We're introducing ourselves in the chat or in person. So go ahead and drop into the chat. Introduce yourself. Great. Good morning, Rumina. Noah is your son. Fantastic. And good morning, Annie. I can see that you are here as well. Atalaya, it's been great to see here at school as well. All right. Good morning, Margaret. Welcome. You've got your son, Rise, or Riz. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Fantastic. Wonderful. And good morning, Jillian. Yes, Braden and Ashton. Okay, fantastic. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm glad you're all here. It's fun to be here. As I said, I'm very comfortable today, dressed like a middle schooler. It's been a fun week. So wanted to start a little bit, as we often do, just to provide an opportunity for our PTA to share a little bit. And so, Kylie, it looks like you're madly, furiously scribbling over here. But let me invite you up. I'll give you one of these mics as well. Let me switch over here so we can see. There we are. So I'm going to do this, give you this. There we go. We can see your beautiful face over here. All right. Good morning, everyone. Go Seahawks, right?
Yes.
And
We
go
play
Mariners.
on Monday.
Mariners as well. Yeah. I don't know. Are you a Mariners fan?
I am, but I just keep score. Like I don't really.
I just keep score. Yeah. All right. Well, good morning. What's happening in the PTA, Tillicum PTA world?
So there is a few things. First, our last general membership meeting went well. We had a family engagement opportunity. Just wanted to bring that up. If anybody has any suggestions on how it went, any other information or things that we want to do in the future, you can reach out to the PTA and let us know the types of things you want us to bring forth to you.
Yeah.
So the band and orchestra is having a fundraiser on October 23rd. That's at Red Robin. So just go to Red Robin that day, say that you're representing Tillicum music program, and then we'll get, I think,
20%.
20%.
Yeah, pretty good. I think it's the one over Red Robin.
Yeah.
Yep, the one on 148th and 24th.
So that information should be also in our Tiger Tales, just in case. And I think somebody posted on Facebook. So
great.
The biggest thing that we have going on, we're working in partnership with the ISA program. We on November 5th is the Dia de los Muertos event. It'll be here at Tillicum. There's a huge night planned with entertainment. Some students will perform, and there's activities, food. So it's going to be a great night on November 5th from 6 to 8. This weekend we'll have a Sign Up Genius going out for volunteer opportunities to bring items, to volunteer to help out with activities. There should be face painting. If anybody loves to face paint, we could use some volunteers to do that as well.
Yeah, and just so for those of you who don't know, ISA stands for International Spanish Academy. We have two world language programs centered here, our Mandarin Dual Language and then our Spanish Academy. But this event is open to everyone, and we're really going to be kind of celebrating just some Hispanic heritage and a lot of fun events. So we would love for anyone to come out that night, and it'll be fun to see some kids performing and just to eat some food and have a great time.
Yeah.
So November 5th.
November 5th. Yep. Megan, am I forgetting anything? I think that is all. October is pretty light because September was heavily busy, and November we'll start doing our big push for our Tigers Together, raising money. Send in your donations. A lot of your money goes towards our school that we need supplies, we need band and orchestra field trips, all the music programs. So your money definitely goes to the greater cause.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much, Kylie. Appreciate the partnership and really appreciate those of you who are able to be a part of it. Okay, wanted to share with you a couple of things that are happening just here in our community. Specifically, both some upcoming events that have been happening. As we said, we had ASB sponsored Spirit Week this week. We're going to culminate that with a Spirit Assembly today, which will be fun. October is Bullying Prevention Month, and so we actually next week in science classes, we're going to be providing bullying prevention lessons. We have targeted lessons for 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, and it comes from a Character Strong curriculum. I'll actually share a little bit of what kids learn in there. Next Wednesday is Unity Day. It's actually a worldwide kind of event that is really looking at kindness, acceptance, inclusion, and the idea that we just want to celebrate differences and that we don't want to harass and intimidate and bully. We encourage all students to wear orange. On this next slide, you can kind of see some photos of last year, some of our ASB and web leaders who are part of it. So yeah, have your kids wear orange. We'll be talking about the harmful language that happens at Tillicum, how we combat it, and things like that. And I'll go into a few more details in just a couple of minutes. Picture retake next Friday. All right, if your kids don't like their photo, come and get their photos taken. And as Kayuli said, the Dia de los Muertos ISA showcase will happen on Wednesday the 5th, and that'll be a fun event, and would love for y'all to come out. Veterans Day happens in November, along with a bunch of days off. And so we will actually have our Veterans Day assembly on the 6th, Friday. We have an opportunity for families that are in our community that are veterans or are connected to veterans to share photos and any information about those family veterans. And so look in Tillicum Times newsletter for an opportunity. If you perhaps have a veteran in your family and you wanted to showcase them, maybe it was a photo of an uncle or a grandmother that may have served or something along those lines. So would love to be able to share that. We'll have our music department will be presenting at that assembly. Our ASB leaders will be sharing a little bit about the meaning of Veterans Day. And actually, Mr. Blasquez, who's one of our social studies teachers and a veteran, he's actually going to be speaking. So that should be pretty fun. We don't have school on Monday, November 10th, or on Tuesday, November 11th, because of Veterans Day. And November 10th, as it says, it's a weird non-work day. It's kind of odd. I don't really know why we don't have school, but apparently there's like usually 260 work days for a full year employee. And for some reason, there's 261 work days. So it's basically no one's working on that day. Kind of weird. So there's 2 4-day weekends in November, which include Thanksgiving. So that's some things that are coming up here at Tillicum. We got passing period going on for those of you who are here. Kids moving from first to second period. You can check to see if any students look like teachers. Oh, there's Jack. Oh, Jack's looking good. I see he's got his button down on. Let's see. Oh yeah, I see a necktie coming down the hallway. Oh, there's another kid who's got his bald cap on. Mr. Stoddard, it's very fun to dress up like Mr. Stoddard. You get the bald cap, you get the neckties, good stuff. All right. Those of you who are online, you don't get to see all this, so I hope my play-by-play is providing you a little bit of comic relief. All right. As I shared, next Wednesday will be Unity Day, but what we have been working on at Tillicum is recognizing that harmful language is something that students in middle school are subject to quite often. And we asked all of our students last year, we used something called the Panorama Climate Survey. And we asked kids like, hey, do you ever hear racist or sexist or ableist type of language? And kids do hear that quite a bit. And they don't hear it in classrooms so much because teachers are present, but middle school kids are pretty sly. They'll often hear it maybe in the hallway or at lunchtime or in the locker room or things like that. And so we've actually rolled out something just in this last week, something called our Tillicum non-negotiables. And it's something that we developed and actually borrowed from Highland Middle School. But it has some things that we just say that as a school, this is what we do. And so some of them are really simple. Things like tardies, cell phones, hall passes, going to tutorial. We've made some commitments of what we expect of students and what we would do as a teacher. So the idea of cell phones and earbuds, they're really supposed to be off and away during the school day. Now, at lunchtime, before school, after school here in the Commons, kids definitely have their phones out, they're texting, they're sometimes playing on games and things like that. But by and large, kids do a really good job here at school of keeping their phones away, and it's not a big issue. But the one that we have on here that is definitely a challenge, and it's our most complex and adaptive, is the idea around harmful language. And what we've said for students is harmful or derogatory language is not tolerated and should be interrupted and or addressed every time. For teachers, we've said, I do not tolerate harmful or derogatory language. I interrupt or I address instances every time. That's what we're committing to. It's pretty hard and it's complex, especially because it happens oftentimes in hallways or at the lunchtime. But I'm often out at lunch. You know, if I'm hearing someone say something derogatory to someone else, you're so stupid, or that's so gay, or things like that, we'll be able to just work to interrupt it, to often address it, to educate, to look at what the intent and the impact is. But we know that kids experience this, and part of it is just what happens at middle school, because you have kids that are 11 to 14 years old, and they're basically kind of coming into their own and learning about the power of language. And they're trying things out that they may have heard someone else say, that they may have even heard politicians say, that's just out online or on TV. And so we're never going to completely solve this, because every year we're going to get a new group of 11-year-olds and they're going to be kind of testing things out. But as a staff, we want to be kind of consistent about how we interrupt, educate, question, and then be able to echo things that we want. And so the non-negotiables is a small part of what we're doing. But as I shared, next week is Unity Week, and in science classes, we're going to be teaching kids about bullying prevention. And I grabbed just a couple of slides because I think it's sometimes helpful for parents to know the language that we're using and even some of the definitions. Character Strong is our school district's social emotional learning platform. We weave it into a lot of different classes, and teachers take bits and pieces and kind of weave it through their content. But our science teachers are explicitly taking a full class period next Tuesday, and we're going to talk about how to identify bullying and harassment, what to do when we have it, how to report it, and how to hopefully interrupt and stop it. One of the parts you can see is just right here. It talks about what our goals are. And the definition that we use, I think, is one that it's helpful for families to know about as well. Notice that what we are talking about bullying is we say, here's a definition of bullying. It's an unwanted or harmful behavior that's likely to be repeated coming from someone who has more power. The word bullying gets used so much that sometimes it loses its meaning. I'm being bullied, I'm being bullied. Sometimes bullying is just mutual conflict. But true bullying happens when you have unwanted, repeated instances that often comes from a power differential. And we use the acronym right there, or the alliteration of power, pain, and pattern. And so when I'm actually looking to see if we truly do have instances of bullying, is there a power differential? Sometimes 3 or 4 kids ganging up on one. Has pain happened? Like either emotional pain, actual physical pain? And honestly, in middle school, it's far more emotional pain. And even though we say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, not true at all. The words are the ones that are often the most powerful. And so pain can either be physical or more often it's emotional. And is there a pattern? Is it repeated? If it happens one time, we're going to address it. That's unkind. That's just discriminatory. That's not kind. When it happens over and over again, we have instances of bullying and harassment. And we will be teaching students, if you've identified bullying, if it's happening to you, what are you going to do? And so we'll be telling students about how to report. You know, sometimes students will share it with their families, and families will let the school know. Other times we will tell students, please contact your counselor, any staff member. We are all trained and mandated to respond to instances of bullying and harassment. We have a school district phone number or text where you can send notices and alerts that come to us. There's an email. There's a harassment, intimidation, and bullying form in our main office. And really, so all of these pieces are ways that kids can report it. We also teach in part of these lessons from 6th grade, 7th, and 8th grade how students can respond. And that's one of the hardest parts because students so desperately want to fit in. They want to look like everyone else. And they see something happening to someone else, doesn't feel good. They know it's not right. But sometimes be able to say, hey, stop that. Or even to be able to go up to that victim and say, hey, come with me, let's go. We don't need to give this person time of day. But we have to practice and we have to continue to empower our students to do that. And it's hard as a middle school student. And so that is some of what we are doing around Bullying Prevention Week, around Unity Day or Bullying Prevention Month. And I just wanted to be able to share with families so that you similarly can be having conversations with your kids around the dinner table. What's happening? Where are we seeing instances of unkind language? And how are you as a student perhaps working to remove yourself, maybe to address, to interrupt? I'm going to pause for just a moment just to see if there's any questions, either from the audience here or in person, about what you've heard your child say or around instances of bullying, harassment, or just even unkind language. Perfect. Okay. So do please ask your child about this next week. I'll put some more information in the Tillicum Times newsletter about what we're doing. But I appreciate the opportunity to share. This is part of what we're doing with our school improvement plan, being able to address that unkind language and have kids feel like they have a sense of belonging here. All right, let me quickly look at our chat. Looks like we're up to date. We're good, Kylie? All right. Okay. All right. I had a couple of families submit some questions. Maybe you're here, maybe you're online, or maybe you're going to watch this later. But one of those questions was actually around um, special education. And so the question came from a family that says, why has Bellevue School District reduced resources from last year for our special education students at Tillicum with more students per IEP coordinator? They are overloaded. They cannot meet the very critical needs of our IEP students and their families. Thank you for explaining why BSD thinks this is okay and what we as families can do. It's a tricky one, but you're exactly right, is that we have fewer resources this year. And so I first want to just thank this family for kind of addressing this issue. It actually turns out that Bellevue School District, we actually have historically spent more than almost any school district in the state on special education students. The state of Washington gives us about $8,000 per student. And I should say state of Washington and local levy dollars gives us about $8,000 per student to educate. Over the last number of years, Bellevue School District has actually been averaging about $33,000 per student that has an IEP or special education services. And when we compare that to districts like Lake Washington School District at 24,000 or Issaquah at 21,000, our special education spending, which has been out of whack and doesn't not match with what the state is giving us, is one of the reasons that we are unfortunately in a bit of a budget problem. And so it is true that we made some cuts this year in special education, just like we did in other places. I have fewer teachers this year. Class sizes are larger. We have less staff in the office. And we're just going through a year where we're hopefully a year or two, where we're kind of tightening our belts and trying to level the playing field so that we are not like hemorrhaging money. Now, this is not a reflection that we think that this is okay, because in fact, our special education students are often our most marginalized. Sometimes they are disproportionately representative of our minority groups or MLL or free and reduced. So definitely not saying it's okay, but it is a fact. And so we're working to really support our students, our teachers. Now, as families, what can you do? Certainly want you to be able to share stories, tell those narratives, both with myself, but as well with our school board. And as always, advocacy with our elected officials, our legislators, that goes a long way. And so I'll encourage you to write letters to your legislators and say, please fully fund public education, because the needs that we have of our students are greater than they have ever been before. So I hope that answered a couple of questions, but certainly acknowledge the challenge and have the greatest of respect for our special education staff and the work that they do with our students. Any either follow-up questions or comments just related to that question and its response? All right. And it looks like someone just dropped into the chat. We will be having another town hall in January to hold legislators accountable for fully funding our schools. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, Christy. I do appreciate that, and that's super valuable. And if you can share some of those details with me, I'll be sure to share those with our community as well. The second question that came in to me was actually about how teachers use their use OneNote. So I love the question. Is it possible for all teachers to use OneNote for assignments and work? Some use it, some don't. The inconsistency is challenging for parents to help check on students' assignments and work requirements. And I love this question. I am a Bellevue School District parent myself. My youngest son is now a sophomore over at Sammamish High School, and he is a student that struggles with learning and has an IEP himself. And so we are frequently at home at night, and I'll say, show me your OneNote, what's happening in world history, things like that. And when some teachers are not using OneNote, I'm like, well, what did you do in this class? And he's like, I don't know. And I'm like, and so I feel your frustration. The short answer is that I can't require teachers to use OneNote. We have it as an awesome resource, and our teachers who use it and use it well and robustly, it's a fabulous tool. What I can do, however, is take some of the feedback that I get from families and understanding the pain points and the perspective to be able to work teachers to understand, like, hey, how do you keep track of your assignments? Where are you putting the materials? When a student is absent, how do they find what was missed? But what I would love to hear from those of you who are here, as well as those of you who are online, is just give me just a little bit of storytelling from your own experience of what has worked, what is challenging, so that I might be able to similarly use this information as I'm coming to my staff and saying, the more consistent that we are across our building, the more it helps families when they're trying to support sometimes 2, 3, or 4 kids across multiple grades and even multiple schools. How many of you have had an experience like this? It's challenging, or the inconsistency. I'm seeing some, yeah. Are there any stories that go along with that? Or are there any maybe bright spots that you want to call out, something that works really well that we'd love to replicate? Yeah, Megan.
I'll just say that if it's all in one place, that makes it so much easier, because you can go like help your student find what needs to be done, find what was talked about in class, find all the things.
Yeah.
The other thing, the only example that I could kind of think of is, periodically some classes give like an actual piece of paper.
Yep.
And that's fine, actually. Like,
yeah.
I like things that are
Right.
not all on the computer.
Yes.
But if that paper doesn't make it home,
then that's a challenge.
That's a different challenge. And
Yep.
so if not adding more work, if there's a way for that paper to also be somewhere online that
Yep.
it can be found, that would have that added benefit.
I really appreciate that. So we're hearing the idea of having it online and all in one place is super helpful. And when you see it in a helpful place, is it often OneNote? You're kind of like, it's in OneNote where you'll see something robustly built out. Yeah. Again, highlighting my son's math class at the high school, at Sammamish High School, they use pencil and paper to fill out some work in class, which I guess I appreciate. But the teacher also puts that practice work up there. And so each night we'll look at the practice and I'll say, hey, can you show me the paper? And sometimes he can't show me the paper. So I'm like, okay, you get to do it again. And he complains. And I'm like, well, it should be super easy if you already did it, right? So I really appreciate that. And so that consistency is really helpful. Let's see, another comment in the chat. If parents had their own login to OneNote so they could access without their child, that can help when a child wants to manage things themselves and won't show a parent, but isn't quite at a place where they have the skills to stay on top of it. Wow, that is a powerful observation. And it is one that we, I think, as middle school and then in high school, we do wrestle with this idea a little bit of like, hey, we're trying to build accountability for kids. Do we give potential access, either separate logins to parents? Like Parent View and Synergy, we have Student View and Parent View. Parents often have their own login to look at their kids' grades. But for OneNote and for the district resources, those are all just through the child. And so I know there's been some conversation. There's definitely pros and cons to both. And I think there's even been some families that I know that figure out their own workarounds. They're like, hey, I have my kid's username and password, and I'm looking at their OneNote perhaps on the phone, because it is all part of Microsoft 365. So thank you for that chat piece. We definitely look at some of the balance. The idea of if your child just won't show you their their information, that's a little trickier. And in some ways, that's almost like a parenting piece where it's like, hey, you're the child, I'm the adult, I'd like to see your schoolwork. And this is much easier when it comes to phones, because I've heard parents tell me before, like, oh, I could never take the phone away. It's their phone. I'm like, they're paying for it? Oh no, I pay for it, but it's their phone. It's their Snapchat account. It's all this. It's like baloney. You know, if your child is 13 or younger, they shouldn't even have any of those online or social media pieces. And so I just acknowledge some of the trickiness. And what I appreciate in this conversation is just hearing and seeing both the head nods and the comments that consistency is super helpful. And one of my takeaways that I will be sharing with my staff, and I think I kind of already knew this, is that when we can robustly and consistently use OneNote as the place where we provide both our syllabus, our scope and sequence, and access to materials, that can really support families in the process of trying to help their kid. We're not doing the homework for them, but we know that they may need to build some of their executive functioning skills. And as parents, we are often like, I don't even know what's happening. What happened in class today? Kid doesn't give us any information. So things that are on OneNote often can help us a lot. Any other comments or questions just related to that idea of being able to support your child and how accessing class materials is either a challenge or places where you've seen it work really well? Well, good. Well, those were the two proactive questions that were sent to me. I always like to use a little bit of time just to take any open questions, either from the families that are here or if you're online, feel free to turn on your mic or drop the question into the chat. But we've got, another 10 minutes or so where I'm happy to answer questions from any of you. Okay. Yeah, and as you're thinking of those questions or typing them, again, if you want to share information for our Veterans Day Assembly, Kylie did put the information into the chat, and I'll also be sharing it in our Tillicum Times newsletter on Monday. All right, looks like Andrea is typing right now. That's what Teams is telling me, so maybe Andrea has a question. Do you all have any questions? Yes. Yeah, let's go there so other people can hear that as well. Go ahead.
Just going back to the harassment, intimidation language.
Yep.
That piece. If a student was compelled to send something over email or make a phone call,
Yep.
what happens at that point to that information? If they
great
happen
question.
to name a student, then
Yeah.
will that student get?
So question happens if a kid is actually making a report that they believe of harassment, intimidation, or bullying, where do some of those like texts or phone messages go, right? Like any of these things here on the bottom. So we use a system called vector alerts that if a student either sends an email or makes a text, they'll be able to route it. I think somehow it shows that it's Tillicum, and they actually come to me. They come to Miss Giaroli, our assistant principal. And so sometimes it comes to us anonymously, and it'll just say, hey, I noticed that at lunch there are some students that are being super mean. They're using really discriminatory language with so-and-so. We may not even know who the student is that reported it, but in an anonymous tip like that, it gives us information, and we can sometimes increase our surveillance and support. Other times, a student or a family may make a non-anonymous report, and then I might actually follow up with them. Hey, can you tell me more details? Like if your son or daughter reported and they said, this happened, and here's my name, and I'm happy to tell you more. I may get more information from them, and then I will work to respond to resolve the problem. We always try to protect confidentiality of kids because we know that many kids are really worried about being seen as a snitch or ratting on their friends, but they also are in this hard place of like, oh, this is wrong. I know it's wrong, but I don't want to be a rat. And so we do try to recognize that to build capacity. But ever since a couple of weeks ago, we had a physical fight actually here in the Commons. The fight itself wasn't such a problem. I mean, a kid got punched in the face and it's like, he's fine. The problem was there were like 5 kids videoing it, and then it shows up on Snapchat and it creates all sorts of problems. And so we actually did a whole school-wide assembly talking about just the community that we have here. And we really encourage students, one, don't be filming that. That's actually a behavioral violation in and of itself, and it can hold the exact same consequences. And then 2, make sure that we are upstanders. If something is going on, report it. And what's great is in the last couple of weeks, we've actually had more kids reporting instances. So I think those messages are sticking. Kids are going, hey, this is not right. I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. Can't solve it on my own, but I can make a report to a teacher or something like that. So yeah, and this is just part of the middle school educational experience. But I do appreciate that we're able to provide some of these opportunities for kids, for for staff to be able to communicate. Did that answer your question? Yeah, thanks. Yes, Megan? Yeah, so the question is, do we give kids language on what to do? And we do. And in fact, we've been talking a little bit about right now this new trend called rage baiting. I don't know if you've heard what rage baiting is, but it's basically trying to annoy someone to the point where they just start to kind of blow up. You might be mocking their name, you might be making fun of something, but you do it over and over again. So you try to get a big explosion, right? And so we're talking with students about it, telling that one, it's a huge behavioral violation. It's part of HIB, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. And then we're giving some students STEMs as upstanders. It could either be to say, hey, cut that out. That's not okay. That's the most kind of courageous to address the bully. But then to be able to also then to be an upstander by being able to take the victim and help remove them, which can sometimes be easier. It's like, hey, you don't have to listen to him. Come on, let's go. And you help remove them from the situation. So we try to provide some of those type of tips and stems for kids. As simple as, that's not okay. Stop it. Because a lot of times with bullying, we do have to ask, I have to ask kids, it's like, did you ask for the unwanted repeated behavior to stop? Well, no, I haven't asked for it to stop yet. Because the kid, 9 times out of 10, will tell me, oh, I was just joking. We were having fun. No, not a joke, not fun. Racial and discriminatory language, never okay. So we do try to teach kids and kind of the process, but it is a process. And it's almost like, it's this idea that social emotional learning, we never had this explicitly when we were kids. And we kind of learned it, just kind of through some of our families, through our students, through our peers and our teachers. We have almost explicit social emotional learning curriculum, and we work to embed it just because we know that these are some of the most complex and most valuable skills that middle schoolers can take out of these years. And so, yeah, we'll teach you to learn to read and write. and use some AI and stuff like that, but how are you going to interact with those around us? So thank you for asking that question. Let's see. I think there's a couple other that dropped into the chat. Let's see. Apologize if I missed this. Will there be conferences, and if so, when will they be scheduled? So Andrea, great question. We did address this about a month ago because the same question came up, but at the middle school level, we actually do not run formal conferences like elementary conferences that'll be happening during the first week in November. The middle school teachers do not run those. However, you can and should look at your child's grades, and you should email your child's teacher if you want a conference. And so while teachers do not proactively set up conferences for all 150 or 170 of their students, we do have part of our contract the professional responsibilities of conferencing with a family. That can be over the phone, it can be on Teams, it could be in person. What teachers are hopefully doing, and it's not with that great of fidelity, is they're looking at their students who may be doing poorly, earning D's or F's, and reaching out to families and sharing. And perhaps that can be the impetus for a conference. But sadly, we don't have within our current system the same elementary conference schedule. But we really do invite you to reach out, and teachers should be responsive. All right. Oh, and Kylie, you already answered the question. Dang it. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. Any other questions? Well, you can always send questions along to me, to our main office. I really enjoy these opportunities to conference. I appreciate that we got people joining online as well as people in person. And please help yourself to a scone if you're here. If you're online, you just need to get your own scone. Hopefully you guys can have a wonderful weekend. And hopefully the Mariners can pick up a few more wins in the next couple of days. So take care and have a great day. Goodbye. Right.